Hello again there folks, Lone Adventurer and or Ways Unseen here. Thank you very much for stumbling upon my channel and joining me for this shameless plug video. I'm not going to be playing a solo game today, I'm not going to be talking about a solo game today, but over the years a number of you have praised my map drawing skills. I like to draw maps for tabletop games. And I draw my maps under the moniker of Ways Unseen. There'll be links down in the description below to my Instagram, Linktree, various places. If you find The Lone Adventurer around the internet, very often The Lone Adventurer and Ways Unseen, I'm talking about my alternate personalities in the third person now apparently, very often those two things will be sort of mashed up together and difficult to pull apart. But the reason why I'm talking about this today and the reason why this little cave map is here on screen is because I am going to have a go at doing my own Kickstarter. Now it's not going to be a particularly ambitious Kickstarter. I'm keeping it fairly simple, fairly manageable and very affordable. So I guess you could say this video is kind of a launch video for my first Kickstarter campaign. And the Kickstarter is going to be a pack of little subterranean cave maps for tabletop gaming. If that sounds appealing to you, then stick around because I'm going to show you what I've done so far, talk a little bit about the campaign, and I'm also, as a treat, going to show you through this little sketchbook of maps. I've filled most of it up now. There's a lot of maps in here, some of which are available in other products that I sell and distribute online. So I thought it would be nice to have a little look through it. So the map pack, there is going to be a link down in the description below to the Kickstarter preview page. And I think that'll go through to the Kickstarter page once it is live, but at time of release of this video it isn't going to be live. But I would ask you, if you are a long-time fan of the channel, if you like maps and you're inclined to show me some support, do consider following along on the campaign. I think the more sort of like people I get to register their interest on the Kickstarter, the better it is for visibility when the Kickstarter goes live. So what can I tell you? It's going to be a digital product, so there will be, I think I've said 10 maps initially. I'm going to add more as stretch goals, hopefully, and possibly add some other bits and pieces as stretch goals as well. But it's going to be digital maps. The maps are going to be provided in a plain format just as they appear on the page, but also additional formats where I put a nice border around them and key them so that there is an area where you can list what you find or what your character finds in each of the locations. But really it's just going to be a little pack of maps, and it's only going to be a few dollars to back it. And then once the campaign has hopefully successfully funded, then I will distribute the maps using itch.io and make sure that they are provided in a timely manner. Let's take a look, shall we? This is a finished map. Maybe I'll bring it a little bit closer to the camera so you can have a little closer look. Over here, by the way, I've got my two main tools. I use a fine liner, very often a Unipin fine liner, and in order to do the shading I use Winsor and Newton Pro Markers, Cool Grey. Sometimes I've been known to use Warm Grey if I'm feeling particularly spicy, but ordinarily it's just Cool Grey all the way. I don't do a lot of colouring on my maps. It's something I'd like to get into, but up until now that hasn't been something I've had time to check out. So this is the first map that will be in the Kickstarter map pack. I've tried to vary, and as I'm continuing to draw them, I'm trying to vary the layouts in interesting ways. Sometimes they have one entrance and exit, sometimes they have multiple entrances and exits. Sometimes there's water in certain areas. Sometimes there are blocked passages like this. So while I haven't populated the maps with like chests or items. I've tried to vary just the natural layout of them. Let's have a look at another one. Here's map number 2. Another fairly straightforward map. We've got 2 possible routes through, kind of a little dead end in the middle, a blocked area there. Then we've got some random stuff that I did for a different map there. Then we've got map number 3, which is quite different. Almost all of it is submerged underwater, and we've got stepping stones leading through various areas. We've got 2 routes in, then we've got a couple of platforms there. My hope is that it's clear here that there's a way through sort of underneath the rock, underneath the water, and so you've got 2 possible routes into this area here, although one of them has been blocked. And I think those are the 3 maps that I've done so far. I've got a 3rd map here that I have not yet shaded, but this is all based around a sort of a central area here with multiple rooms coming off of it. And then another one here that's even further back through the process, but my idea here was to have some pits, so these will be dark pits. We've got 2 ways of entering this map, and then some varied level stuff as well. So we've got steps up here and steps up there, so this area is raised, and yeah, we've got these 3 pits. So those are the maps I've drawn so far. So I think, what's that, is that 5? 5 drawn so far, at least another 5 to be drawn. If you like the look of these and you want to support the channel in a sort of a tangential way, then please do click on the Kickstarter campaign link and show your support that way. It would very, very much be appreciated. It would be kind of cool if this campaign is a success, because I would love to do additional map packs in different settings. It's good to have a reason to draw the maps. I like my maps to be used and enjoyed by people. Yeah, if I don't have a way of getting the maps out into the world, I sort of get lazy and just watch television instead of drawing them. I'm hoping to draw other kinds of map packs for like foresty locations, more traditional dungeony locations, towns, overland maps. What else could I do? Islands, boats. I really like boats. I'd like to do a map pack of interconnected flotillas of boats. Yeah, indoors, buildings, the interiors of buildings. So I've got ideas, so hopefully this is a success. Now, if you've made it this far, thank you very much. I'm going to turn right to the front of this little notepad here. This is a Rhodia notepad. They are sort of dotted. I think they're meant for like architects. I think you can just about see that. So that's quite good when you're sort of drawing regular spaces. These pads were recommended to me by another cartographer. Their name escapes me right now. If I remember, I'll put it along the bottom of the screen. And so this is going back in time. I've been drawing in this pad for quite some time. I have other pads. I have a smaller pad. I have a larger pad. I have a couple of larger pads. I also draw a lot on loose leaf paper, so this is by no means all of the maps that I've drawn, but these maps do go back quite far in time. So we've got a little cave map to start here, and you can see I wasn't using the cool grey for the shading here. I was trying a sort of little hatch, which I think some people like, but didn't really work for me. Then we've got another cave map with a sort of a raised walkway and some stairs. I quite like that one. Then we've got a little burial room, like a crypt with a coffin in the middle, and also a big old chest in a room at the back. That's probably slightly out of scale. I think the coffin should be bigger or the chest should be smaller. Oh, then we've got a colourful one. Not sure what I was thinking of there. I do quite like it. Kind of jazzy. Then we've got another cavern system with some platforms and rickety bridges leading to and from them. and a couple of little chests in a room over here behind a rockfall. A number of these that you're going to see are included in my D12 Locations zine. I'll include a link to that down in the description below. That's something I made with my associate Lexiconical, who is a very talented writer. So she did the writing and I drew the maps, and that's one of those. Quite like this one. We've got a sort of a watery inlet here with some hidden rooms at the back and some skeletal remains and a couple of chests. And we've got this one I haven't used anywhere, so this you can't get this anywhere really. Just some sort of ruins and a little funny bridge joining two areas of ruins together. I like doing platforms. Again, I went for a period of like doing these jet black pits, which, you know, look really cool, I think, but are quite use up quite a lot of ink, but they do look cool. Then we've got a little settlement, a little homestead on the bend of a river. That's kind of nice. And some huts in a cave. I feel like, you know, huts in a cave is something you probably wouldn't make because you've got the natural shelter of the cave, but they just look kind of cool. And I like drawing buildings in caves, so, you know, sue me. Another little settlement, this time on a raised area of land. So we've got a little path up to the settlement and then a little bridge over to a little extra bit over here. I'm just going to skip past a few without talking because there's quite a few of them. Nice little island there. This is before I started. I now sort of, whenever I do water, I tend to fully shade the water, but that looks kind of cool, I think. Little building over a river. Another little cave, inlet cave thing. This is the entrance to sort of like a hidden subterranean tavern, was my idea. So we've got a little river here and you've got these steps and that takes you into this tavern. I sort of shaded the negative space here, which I quite like, but I don't tend to do that usually. And then this is the top floor of the tavern. And this is the name of the tavern. I imagine this one to be a little bit of like a gigantic ancient wall, like the Great Wall of China, with some little buildings, sort of rickety buildings built around the base of it. And here we've got one that I quite like, with some buildings on a little island in a bay that's protected by some kind of building along the entrance there. I didn't realise until it was finished that the boats are too large compared to the buildings. So I think when I created a digital version of this, I shrunk the boats down a little bit so they didn't look quite so huge compared to the buildings. I went through a phase of like drawing some ruins in this very sort of plain manner. It means they sort of like jump out a little bit and you can see the shape of the ruins more easily. There's another one. There you go. I told you I like drawing flotillas of boats. Here's a nice little flotilla of boats. Man, there's a lot in here. Some practice sewers before I did a big sewer one. A boat burial mound. Just a little rivery scene there. A rare example of use of colour, sort of like a some kind of adventurer's house with like a jungly room or something. Treehouse. Another little settlement. Oh, a spaceship. Sort of a little temple-y, ruiny thing in a forest. More boats. Ah, there you go. That is the isn't that the Lone Adventurer door? I think it is. So that's my little logo for the Lone Adventurer channel. Something that never really worked out there. That was a little practice for a map I was doing for the Talamander game zine. Some ruins. A little cavern base thing. I'm not sure I've used that anywhere. Just drew it. Some subterranean cavey rooms. Another tomb of some kind. A little jungly, like a platform over a pit. Yeah, I sort of did a couple of maps with pits in. I imagine this to be sort of like a sacrificial platform or something. So there's some kind of creature that lives in the pit. Ancient people would go there and make sacrifices to the creature. There's another pit. The dragon skull, that's one of my favourites. Some buildings built into the side of a cliff. A maze. A Goonies style boat. One in a slightly different style there. Sort of a angled style, so not top down. I like drawing side view maps, so there's a little side view map. Side view boat map. And that's it. We're back to the caves. Back to where we started. So there you go, a little flip through of some of the maps that I've drawn. If you want to grab yourself something that includes these maps, I have a range of products on my itch.io. There'll be a link in the description down below. Otherwise, hope you follow along on the Kickstarter. Thanks very much for accommodating this shameless plug video. Regular programming will resume going forward, and I'll bring you more solo game adventures soon. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time. Bye for now.